Hi, this is Chris Kattan. You're watching Hollywood Raw. Get ready to hear about my days on Saturday Night Live and how Night at the Roxbury came to be.
Hey guys, welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page. Make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe,
do all the fun things.
follow
everything. We're here to entertain you guys.
What are you waiting for? Hurry up, let's go.
Enjoy. What's up? Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. I'm Dax Holt. I am not joined by Adam Glyn because I have no idea where the hell he's at. However, we got Chris Kattan on today. You know him from Saturday Night Live and Night at the Roxbury. And oh my God, he is a legend when it comes to SNL alumni. So I'm going to jump right in because I don't know where Adam's at. And we're going to move along with the show. And hopefully he joins us at some point. Chris, welcome, buddy. Chris, oh my God, dude. I am so excited to be talking to you right now. You have no idea how this makes my day. There's a couple moments in my life because I was such a huge Saturday Night Live fan, like huge. I remember just growing up and it was always kind of like my thing to do with my friends was watch Saturday Night Live, and you were such a big part of just my life in general, not just my childhood, but just my life and all your movies and everything. So it's very cool to be talking to you right now. I'm sorry Adam's not here. He should be here any second, but of course he's running late right now.
That's fine. There's probably, who knows, maybe you have a very large parking lot.
He does live in New York, so my guess is, there's probably parking problems that he's stuck, can't find the parking spot. He's probably freaking out right now. But we're gonna go ahead. What is it?
If he is driving, that's the worst in New York. I mean, you probably know that driving
is horrible
like,
out there.
How horrible. Do you even? I couldn't even imagine trying to find a parking space in New York City. It doesn't make sense to me.
How long did you live out there?
I think in total, probably about 12 years.
Okay. And you live in LA now, correct?
I do. Well, yes, I live here. I have a place in LA. Yeah.
And so why is New York just not a place where you want to live full time, basically?
No, I would love to. I made that choice years and years ago when my dad was he lived, well, he passed away, but before that he lived in Sherman Oaks in the Valley, and so I wanted to be closer to him when he got older. So because just kind of take care of him and that kind of thing. So I wanted to be closer to him, so I moved back to Los Angeles. And I never, I moved to New York to be on Saturday Night Live, and that's why I moved there. So, so I had more of a, LA always felt more like of a home, but I love New York. I mean, my God, if I could live there, I would live there probably over Los Angeles, maybe. I think it's such a great city. I was there last weekend and with my girlfriend, and we went there and
was that for the Fallon show? That was to go on Fallon, yeah? To be on Fallon?
My brother was on Fallon. He was his name's Andrew, and he lives in Seattle, but he was playing with a band called The Head and the Heart, and they were on Fallon, and I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be great to come support you. And Jimmy and I are friends, of course, and we went there, and then we're backstage, and that was really fun. And my girlfriend hadn't met Jimmy before, so we wanted to make a New York trip out of it. So we did that, and we also went to go. I said, well, maybe we can go see a Broadway play. We saw Music Man with Hugh Jackman.
That's awesome. He's actually performing on stage right now.
Huh?
He's actually performing on stage right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know at this very moment, but he might be. Who knows? Maybe he's still on stage all the time. It's very possible that Hugh Jackman lives on stage constantly.
Well, how was his performance?
Great performer. It's like, I mean, Wolverine and Les Mis, and then he's like doing these musicals. He's such a strong performer. It's pretty wild. But we had great seats, and that was fun. We got to see Hugh Jackman's veins on his forehead. That was cool. I was like counting his veins, and like, God, it's like 5, 6, 7 veins.
It's the veins in his head and then his veins in his arms because he's like one of the most ripped guys in Hollywood.
Yes,
It's ridiculous. And like you said,
right.
he's the most versatile guy in Hollywood, going from Wolverine to musicals. Like
I
not everyone
know.
can pull that off.
It's pretty amazing. And he insisted on wearing no shirt during the Music Man because of his veins. So for
Well, I
those
think
who
if
are
Hugh
confused,
Jackman is wearing a shirt, there's something wrong, right? I mean, I feel like
right? Yeah.
people
Well,
just
you don't
expect him to be
recognize him.
shirtless.
Hugh
That's
Jackman with a shirt is unrecognizable.
I love it. So how was seeing Fallon though? Because I feel that people that have worked on Saturday Night Live, they kind of had this camaraderie, and obviously you guys weren't there during the same time, but I'm sure you've worked with him in some capacity. So how is it meeting up with Fallon?
It's always great to see him. He's such a sweet guy, and he's, just like the guy last, during SNL, he's hilarious, and he's one of the sweetest guys in the business. And he was it last year too? I think I went back I was on Seth Meyers last year in December, and I wanted to come down there. It's 30 Rockefeller Center. For those who don't know, 30 Rockefeller Center has SNL, of course, it's Studio 8H, and there's Seth Meyers has his show, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and he's on the is it the 8th floor as well? I think he's also on the 8th floor, and Jimmy's on the 7th floor, the Tonight Show. So when I was on Seth, I was like, I would love to go downstairs and see Jimmy, and so one of the pages took me down to see Jimmy, and they had a spare dressing room, so they set me up in a dressing room, which was really nice of Jimmy. That's the kind of guy he is. He's so cool, and we're so this happened again, like this weekend. I texted him, said, hey, we're going to be out there this weekend, and it'd be fun to say hi. And he put me in, gave me a dressing room again, which is so nice, because usually you would just stand backstage and just say, I'm gonna stand and get out of everyone's way because it's their show, and I'm not even host. I'm not a guest. So I mean, I'm a guest of his, but I wasn't a guest on the show. So he's just such a sweet guy. But every time I go back there, I get this rush in 30 Rock of like how it felt, like when I was on SNL. It's this incredible feel of home. It feels like home, but it feels like home for your creativity as well. It's just like, sorry, it feels like it just feels like you're breathing again in a way. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's like, I'm sure you have that where you work, or had a sense of that in your life where you
No,
could
absolutely.
create, or you had your place where you could be inspired, and that feeling of working with other people, and I really miss that. That was such a great time in my life on SNL. And I felt that again seeing Seth and seeing Jimmy, and every time I go back and just say hello to those guys in that building, you know. Um
Well, if do you also stop by Saturday Night Live? Because if you're seeing them, do you then stop
I
in
did.
on
Obviously it's a
Saturday?
different
And
cast, so
of course.
it would be funny if it's the exact same cast that I
But
left.
you're a staple. That's the
Hey,
thing. Like it's
hey,
not
Kohler. Wait,
but
been
the
here
thing
for
is like
35 years.
you're one of the biggest names that have left there. So like I feel like
Oh,
there's
that's
just an
sweet.
open door when Chris Kattan shows up. I got to imagine they're like, "Come on in, sir. Like come watch
Well,
the show."
I mean, the crew was so nice. Yeah, they're very like yeah, they didn't say sir, but they said Chris, and but there were yeah, I mean, the crew's still there. They have the same crew that's been there for since day one. I mean, that's what makes that show so tight, and so the production's so good, when you watch the show, and when you hear about how that it's live, of course, and that they do these sketches, and then in between commercial break is when they switch. They'll move the set and replace with another set, and and it wouldn't happen without that kind of a crew, without a crew like that. That's so good, and so tightly wound. They're just so nice, and they're so kind, and sweet. So saw saw everybody in the crew, and that was just so nice. They came over and said hello, and it was
That's
great.
awesome. That's fun. I want to get into more Saturday Night Live, but I want to get into Big Brother right now because you
Oh,
obviously just got
yes,
back from doing Big Brother. My
Celebrity
question
Big
is
Brother.
Celebrity
There
Big
is a
Brother.
difference.
There is a very big difference. You're right. I'm sorry. Celebrity Big Brother.
That's okay.
But my question for you is, do you have a different respect now for people that are doing those shows like Survivor or Celebrity Big Brother that really keeps you, or even The Bachelor, that keeps you away from the outside world for so long?
Yeah, I mean, you always have I mean, that show's been going on, I guess, or the Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother's been going on for just this was the third season. I guess Big Brother has been going on for 20, I don't know, 15, 20 years or something like that, maybe.
Sounds about right.
And you always wonder how it's done so well, and especially when it goes live. That's pretty wild. The Celebrity Big Brother does go live sometimes when they're doing eliminations or certain games are happening, physical games. But it's really it's fascinating how they do it. I mean, for me it was difficult to do the 24/7 thing. You would think would be like, oh, that'll be fine. And I came on the show wanting to have a really fun time and having a great time, but I had a difficult time with the whole alliancing thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was not fun for me because I'm not. I mean,
there's a lot of strategy on these shows, right? And like, if
yeah,
you're
I'm
not
not really good at that. And it's hard for me to have conversations with people when they might be having alliances
Mhm.
at the same time. So there's that conversation you have. That's well, there really is just one conversation. There's that conversation. You're trying to have a conversation with somebody normally, but then you realize there's a microphone on you, and some people will ask questions to you that can be rather personal,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's
Are they
not really
asking him
something I want everyone in the world to be asked that, unless you're trying to say something for me to say in front
Yeah.
of everyone in the world.
And do you think
So
do you think people specific like will ask those questions because they want that moment? They want that in-depth moment on TV, or they're just doing it for ratings or for a publicity moment? Or do you think people
that
are genuinely forget about cameras and they're just like, oh, like I just want to get to know you. I'm just forget that the world's
well, I
watching.
would like to think it was about forgetting about the camera, but I don't know if that is the case sometimes. It's hard to tell and hard to gauge that.
Gotcha.
Um,
Hey, Chris, I have some breaking news for you.
what?
My co-host decided to show up finally.
Oh,
Let's bring him in.
New York
There
City
he
traffic,
is.
buddy.
it's
That's what it is.
Adam.
It's New York City traffic. Chris, thank you for doing the podcast.
Of
I'm a
course.
big fan, but New York City traffic and it's not fun. Yeah.
No, it totally makes sense. We were just discussing how crappy New York City traffic is. I was like, if you're actually I don't know if you're driving
Yeah.
or in a
Yeah.
cab or what, or
Yeah,
Uber.
it's brutal, man. It's today's like the first nice day, so everything's going crazy. But it's not about me; it's about you. Thank you for doing it. Actually, like you guys were talking about, I actually thought you were really good on Big Brother, and I respect you for doing the show, and I also respect you for stepping away from the show. I saw that you said recently, like, you left for personal reasons with stuff going on in your family, and I think that was a big, especially to walk away from experience as being a celebrity and I'll say positive things about your experience as well on the show. I commend you for that because I think it's good to take the high road, but it sounds like you did have a good experience, but you also had a valid reason why you left the show.
Yeah, I did. I did have a good experience. I mean, with the people, I really liked the people that were on the show for sure. I think it was. I think the alliancing stuff was very difficult to be around. It was very much like high school, and in the sense of like cliques and things like that. And when they're not telling you what's really going on and going on, is can be very
Well,
can
you
be
also don't know if
difficult
it's
to be
real. You're
around.
like, is this a real friendship or is this just an alliance friendship so that you can
Right.
move on to win this show? Did you connect with the most on Celebrity Big Brother?
Well, I think I connected it with a little bit with everybody. I think Teddy at first, and then Carson for sure. I mean, mostly Carson. I think because he was so fun and light, and that's what I wanted to do on the show. I approached the show with just like wanting to have a good time and having fun, and you know, like Tom Green did in the prior season on Celebrity Big Brother. You know, he seemed to have a really good time, and I thought that would be a great way to approach it. I mean, I approach everything, all my work or anything like that, with a sense of having fun and having a good time with other people. You know, but
Did
when
you?
it gets serious,
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
just like, did you know these guys before the show? Like, did you know who was going to be on the show? And were you friends with these people beforehand?
No, I met Carson, but I did not know. They don't tell you. They're not allowed to tell you who else is going to be on the show. You know, there were some rumors, like, oh, blah 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 is going to be on the show, or you know, but I had no idea. I don't think anyone had any idea who was going to be on the show because they like to reveal that surprise when you enter. So you go, oh my God, it's, you know, somebody from, you know, and so I was, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, but yeah, they like to keep that as a surprise because of the reality show benefit of it, I think.
Absolutely.
You know,
Did
and
you?
they
Was
also
there any?
don't tell you like where you're gonna roommate with exactly. You kind of pick out a bed as well, and they don't really set that up. Although there was one long bed, and when you know when Lamar was there, I was like, I think that must be Lamar's bed.
Well, wouldn't it be great though if you just went and stole his bed, and you were like,
Huh?
no, 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 I'll take the long bed.
Oh right, yeah,
You can have the other bed, Lamar. I don't care. Just go take the other bed.
right.
Was there anyone that you you connected with the least? I guess that just like, oh, they're nice, but you didn't really have a true connection with them.
Um, I think I connected with everyone pretty much. Because I like to connect with people, but I think there's maybe a one or two people that were, you know, when they started doing the alliance thing, that would just kind of push me off, and it
Mhm.
was hard to connect with someone. I mean, imagine you just being in a friendship with somebody, and then they start uh asking you questions that are like, you know, so tell me about your second marriage. Like, where did that come from? And why are you asking me this right now? Oh, that's right. We're on network television.
So was there ever a moment though that you like forgot cameras were watching? Because that's what a lot of people say is when they do like a show like Big Brother, they get to a point where they just forget cameras are on them. Did you get to that point, or you were pretty like aware most of the time?
No, I forgot about it because I prefer forgetting about a camera that's on me when you're engaging in a conversation that seems real, you know, because it doesn't make sense to me to have a conversation that's false. Forgive me for thinking
Yeah.
that way. I mean, it's a weird thing to have a conversation with somebody that isn't real. So when you think there's a conversation you're having, you're going to assume it's real. So when it's a conversation you have with somebody, and then all of a sudden it sounds like this is not something a person would say in reality, then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't. I guess I'm supposed to pretend to have a conversation that's real, but it's not. So that could be disengaging, and that could push you off a little bit. And
Chris,
that's what made me want to go to my bedroom and stay there for a while until that would pass, and then I come back and have fun.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Chris, I was really excited for you to come on the podcast, and the reason is, you know, I first got to see you on SNL, and SNL is very generational. You know, it's, you know, the people on the new cast, they do a good job, but you're, you know, and I'm not trying to age you at all, but you know, when I was growing up, you know, you were the big part of my SNL years. You know, when I was learning about the show, and you know, so I mean, me and my friends, we still quote your stuff today, from your movies to your TV shows. So you know, it's very cool to talk to you. My question for you is, how did you get SNL? Like, yes, you were doing improv and groundlings, but how does SNL they get to find out who you are and like what your deal is, and said maybe we should, you know, audition this guy?
Well, I was. like you said, in the Groundlings, and I know that you needed at that time you needed some sort of an outlet to be seen. Unlike now where you could be on YouTube or you could submit a short or a digital video or anything like that. So it's a whole different situation now. But back then, you really just had hopefully to be seen somewhere like Groundlings or Second City, and Lauren Michaels, think I guess Marcy Klein was working with him, who's this great producer, and she came to the show and she suggested that Will and Sherry and Jennifer Coolidge and I be flown to Saturday Night Live to audition. So we did, and that's really how it was. Basically, it was just she's this great talent scout. So for Saturday Night Live, and then we went to SNL and we did the audition, and which is the audition is basically, I think it's 7 minutes, and you show them four new characters, one impression, and one political impression. And I did the gibberish guy. I don't know if you remember that one. His name's
Yeah.
Sewell Forrester. He was a a math teacher. He would just speak like he'd go like, "Good afternoon, I'm Sue Marner. I'm gonna be your substitute best answer." And it was silly. It's a silly character, but Lauren loved that character, which is funny. And then I did Mr. Peepers, the monkey character, and I had a boombox that would narrate what I was doing. Just saying, "This is Mr. Peepers. He's 43 years old. He's from the Amazon, blah, blah, blah." And I would stand on his stool and then, balance on the stool on one foot, and then eat an apple and then spit it out all over the place. And then I did some guy dancing that wasn't a Roxbury guy, but it was a guy just on a date that was kind of moving to the music. It was just kind of a guy who was dancing to the music for a girl, and but there was no girl on stage. There was it's just you. You're the only person on stage. And then I did a Christian Slater impression. I did Christian. I don't know if you remember, but Christian Slater was an interview with a vampire, and I did Christian Slater interviewing a vampire. And I was like, "So, you're a vampire? The story you're telling me is amazing. It's incredible."
And then who is the political one?
I think I did Cuomo as my impression politically, and it was terrible. And I laughed because it was so bad.
This is so good. I
heard Marcy and I think Lauren laugh while I was doing that, which is kind of endearing that they laughed because I was laughing, which is really sweet because they laughed at something that wasn't supposed to be laughed at, but they laughed at that because I was laughing, which is nice. So that connection, it was nice that SNL loves when the performer laughs, at themselves.
Yeah,
100%.
Really
Some of the
sweet.
funniest skits are literally when people break character and they just start laughing. Like some really good ones. What was it? Pretty intense being in front of Lauren that first time. I mean, walking into that room and knowing if I get this, it could change my life.
Yeah. Well, there were two parts of that. There was the audition, and then there was another time we were flown out, and it was just a sit down with him and Steve Higgins, who's also on the Tonight Show, and he's the head writer at SNL, and one of the head writers at SNL, and he's been there since back then, which was '96, I guess. That was just a sit down on the 17th floor. There's seven. I don't know if you know about that, but there's the first half of the week on SNL is the writers part of the week, and we're all on the 17th floor, and his office is there. So I was just sitting down with him and Steve Higgins, and Steve pretty much just asked me questions while Lauren just listened, basically. So yeah, I was definitely nervous, and I didn't know. I think I over talked a lot. I think I said, like, for some reason, my dad was an actor, and he's from the Groundlings, and he did some cartoon voices, and he's been on like the Jeffersons and stuff like that. So I kept talking about my dad as if that was a way to help me get on SNL. Like, so my dad is a Smurf voice. He does Taylor Smurf, and Lauren's like,
It's like,
as if
great.
that's really gonna get me in.
So your class, your SNL rookie class was you, Will, Sherry, Jennifer Coolidge. Did she get on with you guys, or did she even get on the show? Did she?
She did not. No.
Okay.
But she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
great.
she was in
she
the
did very
ground
well.
with us. She should have gone on. Obviously, she's incredible.
Yeah.
But I think Steve Carell also auditioned that season as well, and did not get it.
Wow. That's. I mean, listen.
He's
Props to
amazing too,
Marcy
obviously.
for actually to notice the talent that was there. I mean, that's a great class. Unfortunately, they didn't get the job, but fortunately, they did do well. So, who was your office roommate per se? Because everyone is kind of matched with a roommate. Who were you sharing an office with?
When I first got there, I was with David Spade and this writer Hugh Fink that wrote with
Sure.
David, and it was so I was in the office with him, which was wild because I was brand new and he'd been there for a while, and he was kind of like on the tail. He was like the last of his generation that was still there because he was doing a weekend update. I think it was Hollywood Minute or something. I think that was the name of the thing he did on Weekend Update. And he was in that room, so it was like the one that's been there for the longest, and the guy who's brand new. So I was like jumping all over the place and being super hyper, which probably doesn't really work with Spade's energy. He's like, oh god. But I was such a fan of his. I mean, I was like everything from Bye-Bye and his Tom Petty and so that was very I was a big fan of it. I mean, I'm still a big fan of his, but that was my first roommate. And then I moved over to, and then the next season, I went over to the other side of the 724, and I was with Colin Quinn. So
Sure.
Colin and I were roommates after that. Yeah.
So
I moved over. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
No, do you get to pick your office mate, or do they say, okay, you're going to be sharing an office with David Spade, or you're going to share an office with Colin Quinn? How does that work as far as the partnering of the offices?
They would just assign me. They would just tell me where I'm going to go. I mean, you're already getting along with the cast, so it's not like it's nothing. You're going to go like, hey, I don't want to be in that office with that person or anything. You're going to be fine with that person because the cast gets along so well. But that was so Colin was so funny. I mean, you guys know Colin probably.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
He's just such a smart, funny guy, and yeah, I missed that. He was great to be in the. He also, I think he had vertigo, so and I think he had vertigo moments. So they put him right in front of a window, and I was like, why would they put you? I was like, why don't you want to switch desks or something? Because I'm literally facing a wall. Maybe it'd be best. You would not face the window.
You worked with this incredible group of people. Everyone's so funny, and I feel like the pitch meetings at SNL are legendary because they're so funny. Who do you feel though was like the funniest person in the room? That's what I always want to know. Is like, who is the one person that you're like, damn, this person knocks it out of the park every time?
Like during read through, you think?
Anytime, just they kept you in stitches all the time.
Well, Will was hilarious. I mean, Will would he had an alter ego named Ron, and he would dress up as Ron. I think on was it Tuesday or Wednesday? But it was an alter ego and this green outfit and this little scarf and these glasses, and you just walk around and go, I'm Ron. And
is this where Ron Burgundy came from then?
Huh?
Is this where Ron Burgundy came from then?
No, it had nothing to do with Ron Burgundy.
It was just him going crazy and being a random character.
I love it.
It had nothing to do with that character. But it was a guy named Ron. But Will always made me laugh. But he always made me laugh during the Groundlings, and he was just such a funny guy. And I remember doing like back in the Groundlings, we did this exercise, this improv exercise, where we were supposed to look at each other's face, and we were supposed to look at each other's face and not break character. And we weren't even. I'm sorry, we weren't even in character. We were just supposed to not break at all, and we couldn't. It was like impossible because he was just so funny, and I guess I was funny to him too, but we just could not. Why couldn't we just look at each other without laughing? It was impossible, and we didn't do any. He didn't do anything. He was just making me laugh.
When you're on a show like that, obviously as a young actor, and there's so much, there's so much, there is competition. Everyone wants to be on the show, and there's only so much time on the show. How are you feeling mentally? I mean, I gotta imagine the stress level is so high that it's hard to be funny because, I mean, what were you going through during your time at SNL mentally?
I was, I don't know when I was stressed out. There really wasn't too much time to be stressed out, really. It's such a short, it's a week, but it's like, you're producing, you're writing your own sketches and writing it with another writer, and you're thinking already about, sometimes you're thinking about the next week when you're during the week, week when you're with another person as a guest host. So you're always on your toes, and you're so involved in like your character that week and making sure that sketch that you're doing is as polished as possible, and that everybody's happy in it, and all that stuff. So it's not a lot of time to be stressed. I always feel like, to be stressed, you kind of need time to have stress in a weird way,
Yeah. Do you remember
and,
do you remember your first skit that actually made air though? Because we're like thinking back to like that is a pretty big moment for you to be writing these skits, but for your first one to make air, I gotta imagine is a pretty big milestone.
it was that character, the gibberish guy, the Sewell Forrester character, and when I first did it at read through, which was my first week on SNL, it didn't get a lot of laughs, but I didn't know if that was because of the character or because it's me and I'm brand new to the cast, and I wasn't quite sure, but it didn't phase me because I didn't know there was a laugh meter, like, that this is how many, if it kills in the room, then it'll make it on air, that kind of thing. I didn't know that yet, so it didn't get a lot of laughs. It got some chuckles, but Lauren was smiling the whole time. I thought, wow, if Lauren likes it, maybe it has a shot. And then it surprisingly made it in the show, or the lineup, and then we rehearsed it, and because I had already done it on the Groundling stage, I was pretty comfortable with the character and with the sketch itself, that I didn't look at the cue cards either. So I felt very comfortable with it. So it not only made it to dress, it made it to air. And then it ended up making it to the first sketch of the night. So, which was really pretty amazing for me. I was
Quite a
so
home run
excited.
for your first sketch. Dang.
Yeah, first sketch, first show, and first sketch of the night. And I think that was, yeah, and it was all because of Lauren, really, I think. And then the audience, of course, reacted to it when it was during dress rehearsal at 8:00. And but had it not been for Lauren, I don't think it would have been got in the show. But that was the first character, Sewell Forrester. And then it came back, of course, like, because you can't understand what he's saying. It came back as a drill sergeant, shiny boo, so I see my fitted ass, soldier. Came back there, and then did him as an air traffic controller.
So here you go. Which character do you feel like most people either resonated with or talk about to this day? Like for me, it'd be Mango. Like that to me made me laugh out loud every time. Even thinking about it right now makes me laugh. So like, what character did most people talk to you about?
You mean now?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, I guess people like the Mango. I think also a lot of kids now are liking the characters I've done because of the internet and YouTube and all that stuff. So they my there's this child. I don't know. Her name's Jordan, and she's 8 years old, and she loves the Mr. Peepers. And I was like, how would you know about that? And it must be the internet. But she was like, can I watch Mr. Peepers? I was like, oh, are you sure? I wonder if I guess that's appropriate. You eat an apple and you hump things. Like, oh. Like, I guess that's what that character does sometimes. I do.
Much like children anyway, just random stuff.
But yeah, so the kids seem to like peepers and mango sometimes. But I guess overall it would probably be the Roxbury guys. I mean, if you really think about it, that's probably what people mostly identify, or not identify with, but they seem to like the most because of that song "What Is Love." Gets in their head, and then they love that song, and
then they just got to start moving their necks.
Yes, the head bop. They love that head bop, which was just so. It's funny how the power of the media, just like, one little thing, and everybody catches on to it. Sometimes it's really wild.
So true.
When there's writing meetings, the guest host is able to bring some ideas to the table. Do you remember any guest hosts that actually had very, very funny ideas that they brought to the writer's room?
I think there's been some. God, who wasn't? I think Tom Hanks always comes in with ideas because he's so playful. He comes on the show and he always had some ideas, and he's one of those hosts that comes on and also just lets it go with the cast, like whatever you guys want to do, I'll do. So that's really that's really cool that people do that when they come on the show. I'm trying to remember if anything, I think they usually come on with impressions sometimes. Some actors will have different impressions that they want to do, or they're open to poking fun at themselves and their career or something they've done in films, like, guy, who was really good was, God, what impression was it? It was Hilary Swank came on the show, and who did she do? She was like really good. And who really surprised me though, that was great. I mean, I wasn't on the show at the time, was Harry Styles.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Very talented.
So cool. I love it when someone you wouldn't think could really do so well on the show, do these characters so well, and just come from an actor approach, I think, a little bit. And he did that, and he was like so strong.
Well, speaking of
kind of like a Justin Timberlake.
Sure. Well, speaking of music and stuff and these performers, did you get to watch a lot of the performances, or were you too worried about your next skit and what's going to happen next, so you didn't get to see these amazing acts on stage?
You mean watch other sketches?
Not the sketches. I'm talking about the musical acts
the music.
in between.
Yes, yeah. Oh my God, everyone would come out and watch them perform. So there was, enough time, unless you had to put a bald cap on or a skin cap, or something like that, for a sketch that was coming up. But usually the musical guest was before Weekend Update, and if you weren't on Weekend Update, then you'd be able to watch the musical performance. So it was a little bit of time, and almost everybody that was a fan of whoever was performing would come out on stage and watch in the studio and watch that performance. I remember when David Bowie was on, and I was freaking out, and
so cool.
That was phenomenal to watch him. I'm such a big Bowie fan, and to see him perform was so cool. Or The Cure, or Springsteen, of course, or U2. That was pretty amazing.
Who was the most difficult guest host that you've seen there during your time?
Difficult?
It's just difficult to work with as far as being creative, or didn't want to do the work. Didn't really know the work, because SNL you guys work so hard on the show that really just wasn't prepared for the work that's involved with the show.
I think I don't know anyone specifically. I guess people that are from a world that's not comedic, or even acting as well. Like someone in sports usually has a little bit more of a difficult time, but you would hone it towards that sports figure, to make it comfortable for them. I think it's about making that person comfortable,
Yeah.
because you can't really put a square peg in a circle. You have to kind of accommodate, so it makes that person look good. And the more you make the guest host look good, the better it makes you look good. It makes the show look good overall.
So obviously, The Roxbury was a huge hit, made into a movie. I loved when Jim Carrey came on and did it with you guys. I mean, I still YouTube that episode of Jim Carrey on SNL because it was every single sketch was just, solid banger, banger, banger. And then when he did Night at the Roxbury, you guys went so physical, but it was so funny to see you three guys doing it. How was it like to work with Jim Carrey and his involvement on the show on SNL? Because he auditioned for SNL, weirdly enough, didn't get it, but again, did very well. But how was it like to work with Jim on it?
Oh, that was amazing. That was a life changer for me because, well, first of all, it was Jim Carrey, and he's like, a god in physical comedy and comedy in general. And he put, the first time we did the Roxbury guys on Saturday Night Live, Will and I did it. It was just us two. And we basically did it the way we did it at the Groundlings, which was just us, bopping our heads. And then all we said was the word score, and that was it. And then Jim Carrey came on, and it was Fred Wolf's idea to do a third guy. Fred Wolf is this great writer and a director too now, and he did House Bunny, and he does a lot of work with Spade. Yeah. Really gifted guy, and he said, like, why don't you have Jim be a third guy in the Roxbury? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. And I asked Will, and Will was like, yeah, that might be a good idea. And then we were, bopping our head like that, but Jim's head was like going so far over. We're like, oh my God. He just made it like, I guess we got to keep up because he's so like, his body's like rubber sometimes. And we're like, I guess we'll just keep up now. And we're really going to go for it. And he just made that sketch, those two characters, just lifted it to another level. In fact, when he was on that show, the whole cast and the whole show in general, I think, kind of went up to another bar, and that was just like, it was inspiring. And it was just like, I mean, I was such a fan of his, but like, he really like balls out. Because a lot of people come on and they're like, I am this person and you guys accommodate and I'll have a good time. But Jim Carrey worked his, ass off that whole week and did some amazing sketches. There's a sketch on there, on that show that he hosted called, I don't know what it was called, but it was about Will and him in a jacuzzi and he played a lifeguard. Maybe it's called Lifeguard.
Like Adult Swim.
Jim Carrey was a lifeguard and Will was just sitting in a jacuzzi. But yeah, it was a jacuzzi, so he played a lifeguard for a jacuzzi.
That was the funniest episode. He's splashing around.
Yeah, he's trying to save him from a jacuzzi and insisting that he must be drowning. And oh my God, it was so good.
With all the neck bobbing, did that, like, when you're filming the show, where you're just like, oh God, I'm gonna have a kink in my neck after this? Because not only did you do the show, then you're doing a movie. Was that a lot of neck bobbing to go on?
Yes, there was a lot for sure. There was a lot of neck bobbing going on, and it was, in the movie and for the rest of my life, there was a lot of neck bobbing going on. But I'm happy to say I can still neck bob.
I remember watching, being like, I would do it and be like, oh God, my neck hurts just doing it for 5 seconds.
I mean, you just stretch, I guess. I don't know. There was, I was going to say that there's a lot of guest hosts that came on the show that were like, maybe this guy could do a Roxbury. Or Lauren was like, why don't you try Roxbury with Stallone? So we did a Roxbury with Stallone. And he couldn't really, it was funny to see who could move their heads, who couldn't move their heads.
Who else did you guys want? Who else came in and they were like, nope, can't do the neck bob?
I think, Nicholson, Jack Nicholson did the
That makes
neck
sense.
bob, but he was like, And it's like, it's Nicholson. What are you going to do? You're not going to say like, do it right. Or could you do a little further? You're not going to tell him what to do. It's Jack Nicholson.
That is so funny.
When you were on SNL, there was no social media, and now there's social media. So it's like we'd only see you once a week. You know, we always saw you on Saturday night. Now with social media and the news, with the cycle goes, we start to see these people every day. Someone like Pete Davidson right now. I mean, he's not really big on social media, but obviously he's becoming so newsworthy. Is it get to a point where you get too big for the show, where it's hard to see them on SNL because he's so much of a social character per se?
Uh,
Like,
I,
is he taking attention away from the show because he's becoming such a enigma? He's one of the
oh,
biggest
you
stars in
mean
the
because
world.
he's in the
He
news a
can't.
lot?
Well, I mean, yes, he is in the news a lot with the Kim and
Right.
Kanye, and he's dating Kim. Does he just have to embrace and use the show and address it on the show? Like, I don't know. Like, how do you maintain Pete Davidson on the show? Like, is he? In your thoughts right now, is he getting too big for the show with him all being all over the news?
I don't think it's about being too big. I mean, Eddie Murphy was on the show and he was amazing, and then he was so big. I think he did 48 hours while he was still on the show. I believe. I know he guest hosted the show while he was still in the cast, so that's pretty
Yeah.
big.
Wow.
I don't think it
That's
gets bigger
I
than
didn't
that.
know that.
So that's pretty big. So, but I don't think there's a too big for the show. I mean, Kate McKinnon's big and she's doing films. I think there's always room for that. You could do films and you could do that. Social media, I don't know. That is totally different nowadays. I mean, there was really no social media back then, so that's hard to gauge. I think it just brings more fans probably for the show and for Pete and and his relationship. I don't know what's going to happen in his relationship, so I don't know how that's gonna affect. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't affect my watching of him. I still watch him on the show. When I watch the show, that he's a really funny guy, and I enjoy what he does on the show. I especially like his weekend updates the most. You
Yeah.
know.
When Night of the Roxbury, obviously, like I said before, that movie is a movie that I still watch today. Like, it just still holds up. It's still fun. It's still funny. It's a big part of my youth, my childhood, and again, we still quote it today. When that movie came out, was it a hit overall? Like, for you on the other side, like, I mean, as a viewer, I thought this movie was great, but did it do well overall? Was it a hit for everyone? Because for me, it was a hit. But were you guys satisfied with the success of the movie?
Well, like anything, I think you're always gonna go like, oh, I wish it could have been this way or that way, or I wish they could have let that scene be more this way. But overall, I think it was pretty good. It was hard in the beginning just because the sketch, we didn't know we were gonna, we were asked to talk. Obviously, it's a film where we speak. In the sketch, we never really spoke in the sketch. So from going from the sketch into the film, we obviously had to learn, make them a full-on character. I mean, it's an hour and a half film, so they couldn't just be a sketch character anymore. So they had to be real human beings and carry a story and have relationships and a dynamic and chemistry and all these things that are supposed to happen when you're carrying a film. And But that connection between Will and I was really important, I think, most of all. um but we didn't know that the I think wait, I'm veering off, sorry, what am I saying? What?
Did you bring the idea when it was a popular sketch and when it was going to become a movie? Was it Lauren who had the idea to make it into a movie, or was it you and Will pushing to make this into a movie?
Oh, Lauren and Amy Heckerling wanted to make it happen, and the studio Paramount did initially. I mean, Will and I got a phone call during Christmas, and this was like, I don't know. I think I was just how many months into the show was I? I don't know. Yeah, I must have been a full. I think I was full player, then yeah. So probably like 7, 8 shows into the season that I was into the season, and Lauren called me and said, "Are you interested in doing a Roxbury movie?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" And the first thing I thought was like, what about? I would think you would call for a cheerleaders movie before because they spoke at least, and so I was like, "What do we do for Roxbury?" I mean, and then he said, "Why don't you talk to Will?" And I called Will, uh, and then Will said he talked to Lauren that, and I was like, "Do you think we should do a Roxbury movie?" And he said Amy Heckerling's interested, and we were like, "Oh my god, that could be really cool." I mean, she did Clueless and Fast Times, and that could be amazing. And I guess Paramount would be into it, so we were like, "Yeah, that'd be really fun." So that's where it stemmed from. But we were still like trying to figure out what the voices are, who they sound like, and stuff like that. And we didn't really know until we had a meeting with Paramount, and the head of Paramount was like, "So what do these guys sound like?" And Will and I looked at each other and were like, "What's up?" And then Will goes, "I don't know, what's up with you?" And then the head of Paramount was like, "Hey."
I could
Like,
literally
okay,
listen.
that's a good starting point.
I could listen to these like origin stories all day long. I love finding out just how the sauce is made. It's really fun. You've mentioned a couple big names here like Steve Carell, Jim Carrey, Jennifer Coolidge that all auditioned for Saturday Night Live, didn't make the cut. Who do you feel was SNL's like biggest dropping of the ball when they didn't hire them but they auditioned?
Well, that's a pretty big one. I think Jim Carrey, and I don't know if they dropped the ball. There could be like there was no room. I have no idea what the reason was. There might have been another person that was similar at the time. And Steve Carell, I only heard about Steve Carell when he said it in a monologue. So that was the first time I even heard about that. And But I don't know. That's from what I know. I'm sure there's more.
I'm sure there's
I
a
can
ton
Google
more
it right now if you like.
We don't need you to Google. I like it. It's just fun to hear like the behind the scenes and like Jim Carrey. Wasn't Jim Carrey on In Living Color at the time or something?
Yeah.
So it was probably just.
He probably. I don't know if he did or not, but I mean, he was a really strong stand-up performer before he got Living Color. I remember he did that trick where he'd flip himself over, like he grabbed his face here, and then he turned himself and he'd go upside down. Like it was pretty amazing.
He's unbelievable. I love him so
unbelievable,
much.
Right.
So do you when was the last time you saw some of your former castmates like Will or Sherry? I saw Sherry at a birthday party years ago, and it was so fun to see her in person. And I was like, God, if Chris Kattan walks through this door right now, I may lose my mind. But when was the last time you got to hang out with some of these people?
Well, Jimmy, like we said, saw him last weekend, and at my birthday was last October. I saw Fred Armisen came over for my birthday, and I just keep in contact. I mean, with COVID, it's very hard to see everyone.
That's true. COVID
obviously
ruins everything.
Yeah, but those guys, and Seth I saw in December, and some cast members. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, so of that, I haven't seen Sherry in a long time. And yeah, but we all kind of keep in touch, we'll text Maya back and forth sometimes, and but that was a really, really strong cast. I think we really, that was a great cast because obviously the talent. Obviously the talent was.
Do you have a disco ball on your ceiling, Chris?
I do.
Yes.
That's not for any other purpose. That was a sketch that I did. I have this show called. I'm doing these shorts on a series called Hey Kattan. It's on YouTube, and we just do these sketches and shorts, and I write them and perform them. If you guys, by the way, it's a show called Hey Kattan. It's on YouTube, and you can check that out. But that was part of a sketch.
You just got a little nightclub and
and the
you're at your house.
the guy producing was like, "I'll just leave this here." I'm like, "Well, I kind of want it off, but." So it's been there. So now everybody's like, "Is that a disco ball on your ceiling?" So it's gotten more like questions like, "Is that a disco ball on your ceiling?" than any usage. There's been no usage at all. Just the question, "Is that a disco ball on your ceiling?"
Well, tell us more about your YouTube channel. I want to hear about this.
It's called Hey Kattan, and we have a new short every week, and you know, the last one we did, it's really cool to get to do. I miss doing sketch, so we do sketches or shorts, you know, like 5-6 minute shorts, and with this really good crew, and you know, we're just starting out, so but if you look up Hey Kattan or go through my Instagram, which is Chris Kattan Official, and there's a link for it, and you subscribe and all that stuff. But
and are you writing?
So
are you writing all these?
I love working with other. It's a great excuse to work with other comedians, and you know, a lot of up and coming comedians that are from stand up or in improv groups like the Groundlings, or you know, it's just there's so much talent out there, and they seem to love to work with me, and I love working with them, and I get to know them, and you know, it's just a really great comedic world out there, and I think they all deserve to be seen, and you know, it's fun to work with. So it's called Hey Kattan is what we call it right now. Like, Hey Kattan.
Awesome.
When people are like, "Oh, you mean like Hey Kattan is in that, what was that 70s show with the barn characters, like what was it called? I forgot the name of it. With the people with the corn stalk and all that. What was it called?
I have no idea.
You're like, what is that? Probably better that I don't say it. You know, Mom, Pa with the price tag on her. God damn,
Are you talking about
Hee-haw.
what is it?
Hee-haw. They're like, is it like hee-haw? I'm like, no, it's not like hee-haw.
Well, we will definitely tell people to check out Hey Kattan then, for sure. It sounds funny, and I love any of your work. Honestly, I've like we said, both Adam and I, we've been huge fans of yours for our life, and you've made us laugh so much that it was really fun getting to chat with you today. And you know, if anyone wants to check out Chris, he's all over social media. He's at Chris Kattan Official. On Twitter, he's at Chris Kattan. On YouTube, you can go check out Hey Kattan. And
are you a wrestler, by the way, or are you just a fan of wrestlers?
I have a business that we sell fantasy football championship belts and trophies and awards, and so this is my office here at work.
Oh, that's cool. How much is that one?
It's called Trophy Smack. So that's what'd you say?
How much is the big belt?
Well, this one we did for the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. So this was like a $300 belt, is a replica, and then these ones are like $199.
Dax
That's really cool.
With Mark Cuban on Shark Tank, and he's now in business with the Mark Cuban.
Oh, I see.
So we got some fun stuff. Yeah,
that's rad.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But no, honestly, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us and just reminiscing about, you know, some of these fun moments in SNL history that have made us laugh for so many years.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot.
Really appreciate
you.
It sounds like we kiss ass, but it's true. Chris Kattan for me was a big part of my life, and it sounds so weird, but like when I first started watching SNL, he was my graduating class. Like, I wouldn't say he was my Pete Davidson, but he was like, you know, how some people look at Pete Davidson. That's why I looked at Chris Kattan, Will Ferrell, you know, Jay Moore, like, and he was on for such a long time of the show that he was there during some very significant years where, in my opinion, the sketches during his time were just boom, boom.
Dude, it was the best time of Saturday Night Live, like hands down. Well, I don't know, Kate McKinnon. There's some more recent people that are pretty amazing, but Will Ferrell, Sherry, Molly Shannon, like that was a killer class at Saturday Night Live.
So cool. And then At The Roxbury, again, is a movie that I still watch every year, easily every year. And if it's on, I will always watch it. I don't want to get too personal, but I was like, how much money do you make still a year from Night at the Roxbury? But I am curious in that. I just didn't have the balls to ask that.
We asked Suzanne Summers if how much she's made off her Thigh Master, but you were worried about Chris Kattan.
Yeah, I guess. And then it gets, how much money you make? How much money you make? Not as much as you, man. I'd say.
No, really fun to talk to him. So I'm glad that got set up. Really cool guy. When I met Sherry O'Terry, dude, she just like knocked it out of the park for me. Just
So
funny.
You mentioned that. Where'd you meet?
Yeah. So I met her at a birthday party for Matt Weiss. Matt Weiss, who used to work with us at TMZ. He had, I don't remember what birthday party it was, like what year, I mean. But it was Sherry O'Terry. Oh, that was the party that Richard Simmons showed up to.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was Richard Simmons, Sherry O'Terry. There was, I think, Lance Bass showed up that year or something. There was like a ton of people. Matt Weiss knows everyone. And I sat and talked with her for quite a while, and she was so funny. It was just a really surreal moment. But also, I chatted with Richard Simmons for a while too, and that was also super surreal. And then like 3 months later, he disappeared since then.
Wow. But I mean, it's crazy because it's been years since we've seen Richard Simmons. Anybody's seen him.
And I'm telling you, I was one of the last people to see Richard Simmons, like one of the last at this birthday party. And then weeks later, it was like, that was it. He was gone. And no one, we've seen a shoe. That's all we've seen, a shoe.
How great was Richard Simmons?
He was awesome, dude. He is the friendliest.
So friendly, so funny. And once you met him, you understood what he did. Like he was, like you understood who he was when you met him. Like, oh my God, he made working out fun.
He made, it's not even about working out fun. He made people feel good about themselves and work out. It didn't matter your size. It didn't matter your gender. It didn't matter anything. He made you feel good about yourself. And that's what people liked about him. But it's also the thing that he got ridiculed about because people couldn't understand why are you constantly so happy? Why are you peppy and all of that? And that's why they tried to tear him down.
Man,
I miss Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons.
It was such a happy time in our lives.
He was such a great guy. But
we have a one of his calendars here at the office.
No way.
Simmons calendar.
We got some good photos of meeting Richard Simmons from over the years. So I don't know. It's cool to have. But guys, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on it all. We also have a private Facebook group where you could guys send us questions that we can't really legally answer on air, but we'll send you some answers. And if you want to see content that you can't find anywhere else, seriously, follow our TikTok video. We have the best celebrity content out there. That's Hollywood Raw Podcast. My name's Adam Glyn. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on that stuff. So is Dax Holt, DAXHOLT. We'll see you guys next time. What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on. Let's go.